Let's get one thing out of the way early. Doom the Dark Ages is a great game. It's brutal, fast, and filled with that signature ID Software polish we've come to expect. But it's also a game living in the shadow of Doom Eternal, and when you look closely, that shadow is hard to ignore. Let's dive into the greatness and complication of Doom the Dark Ages. Doom the Dark Ages makes an attempt to flesh out the lore of the Doomslayer, diving deeper into his origins in a medieval setting. While the aesthetic change is bold and occasionally refreshing, the narrative itself never really grabs you. It definitely feels like a story for people who really love the lore in comparison to people like me, who just want to kill some demons and chain off some heads. But the story takes place as a prequel to Doom 2016, following the Slayer under the control of the Makers via a device called the Tether. As he battles the demonic forces led by Prince Azrak, as the story unfolds, the Slayer breaks free from the Tether's control, confronts betrayal from within the Makers, and ultimately defeats Azrak, saving Argent Denor from destruction. Once again, I did not care much for the story. There was cool moments here and there, like facing Azrak and seeing, Cthulhu, and even seeing other characters of worth in a Doom game outside of Doom 3, like Thera, who is a leader among the Sentinels and even becomes a god of her own, along with returning characters such as Valen, who plays a crucial role in resurrecting the Slayer. We also know him as the Betrayer for committing treason by bringing his son back from the dead, but instead resurrected by D-Grav into the icon of sin as we see in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Valen is a character where his actions reinforce the theme of sacrifice for the greater good, or so he's thought, And even another returning character such as King Novik, who is the ruler of Argent, and Novik, who plays a reflection of complexities of leadership during wartime. His cutscenes provide an insight into a political dynamic of the settings. But Doom the Dark Ages isn't a character-driven experience, and it shows. The Slayer is great as always, and some of the villains have cool lore, but very few characters have lasting impact. The cast end up being tools to deliver lore, not people to invest in. Then there's the music, and yes, it's impossible to talk about this without mentioning the absence of Mick Gordon, the man who carried the sounds of 2016 and Eternal. One of the main reasons it was so fun ripping and tearing through demons, slicing throats, cutting open skulls, smashing heads, and all while Mick Gordon's badass metal instrumentals played throughout. But the soundtrack in Doom the Dark Ages does its best to emulate his metal chaos, but it just doesn't land the same way at all. The energy feels restrained, missing that signature punch Gordon brought to Doom 2016 and Eternal. It's pretty dead in a lot of fights. It really feels like a void when fighting demons rather than that badass metal you get with Mick Gordon. Now when it comes to gameplay, this is where the Dark Ages really shines. The level design is pretty good and encourages exploration and combat in equal measure. It's pretty fun searching for collectibles, and it feels rewarding despite being optional, and navigating these intricate areas provide some great enemy challenges, and enemy variety is top tier as well, forcing you to stay mobile and constantly adapting to the enemy's combat loop. And the combat loop remains satisfying, especially thanks to some fantastic new tools. That being one of the biggest standouts is the shield. You could toss it like a boomerang at enemies or bash them into AoE attacks from your runes, complete with runes that let you customize your playstyle. The shield feels like a natural extension of your arsenal. And now onto the melee. The choices between the gauntlet, flail, and mace add some great variety. Each has a distinct feel and function. The gauntlet gives you a 4-hit combo and ambo. The flail gives you armor and more of a better responsive timing in comparison to the other two, and it being my favorite, considering you could really time hits the best in between shots, as well as the mace. One hit and it's all you need as it drops HP along with it. and basically one-taps most enemies or nearly kills them in seconds. And mixing these melees into your combos and shield parry gives combat a satisfying feeling at the end of the fight. Now, parrying is the main core mechanic I want to talk about because it is fucking awesome in this game, and it really is the soul of this game because it's not only just a parry, it's a parry with the viable options. You can do an AoE parry, a parry that tosses a bunch of daggers at your enemy, a parry that whips out an auto turret, and a parry that stuns enemies with electricity. There's nothing quite like timing a perfect counter and watching an enemy get stunned while you give them a crazy combo from your gauntlet. It's one of the most rewarding new mechanics in the game. Other positives I like to mention in this game are the weapons. While not everything is good about them, the positives to a lot of the weapons is they provide variety. And the variety in certain modifications you can use. The shotgun having burning mods to 3 bursts, the super shotgun is a powerhouse. The rocket launcher is my favorite, and with each parry you could do is a perfect rocket shot to gain health back up close. You could really stand in front of enemies face tanking RPG shots to you and your opponent with each perfect parry, and it's awesome shit alongside the chain shot that does perfect full charge shot with each parry, and it's by far the most used weapon when under distress for me. And now to the Ravager, has to be possibly the most overpowered because you can really just fire out almost infinite amount of bullets and pick up ammo after each death like it's fucking scavenger perk in Modern Warfare 2. OG of course, because we don't do that modern day Call of Duty slap around these parts often. Also, another great weapon is the Impaler, a really powerful weapon that can slow down time to get headshots, and these headshots replenish melee cooldown. There's just some really cool shit in these weapons, and alongside the weapons, I really enjoyed the final boss. Prince Azrak is a pretty dope boss fight, and he has like 3 phases and even one more extra fight with a witch. The fight against the final boss is really just a parry fencing battle, but a fun one, and he has a great first phase that makes you pay if you shield bash. He even has some badass moments where he basically dusts off his shoulder like Sephiroth in Kingdom Hearts every time you had to glory hit him. The enhanced Azrak is even crazier, and he has delayed attacks along with these crazy hell spikes that can shoot fireball projectiles if you do not, cut those fuckers in half with your shield. Also, he does this combo when he does a stabbing thrust 3 times in a row and will make you pay if you try to sneak in a melee or move in between. And again, after the second phase, the third phase, Azrak comes back again after killing your adorable badass dragon and becomes even tougher enemy with more combos, faster movement, more new moves. It's an insane fight. It's a dope final fight, but it's not over. You then have to fight Azrak and the witch, and holy shit, the witch is truly annoying because those purple bubbles are everywhere while parrying Azrak at the same time. Not only is this witch shooting bubbles, she is giving Azrak and herself at times bubble shields and vice versa. I really like Azrak's dialogue throughout the final fight because he's not as powerful, and he's really showing in his words some kind of way to save himself from the inevitable death, but also bargaining and stage 3 dying with rage. Speaking on the final boss, let's speak on the positives of the bosses in Doom the Dark Ages. I really enjoyed facing the Agadon champion or demon. Feels a bit similar to the Marauder from Doom Eternal. He punishes you for shield bashing him up close, gives you a 3 to 4 hit combo that you can parry each hit, but if you keep too far away from him, he will shoot those heat-seeking projectiles at you. Pretty fun fight and annoying at times when enemies are around you due to its heat-seeking projectiles when far away. The next boss, or mini-boss, the Komodo Demon, is awesome. It has this long spear and delayed spear shots along with its fast, rapid movement that likes to pace around you, at times shooting fireballs as well. Very intense mini-boss or boss fight of champion, but pretty fun. And the old one is also a shockingly fun fight in a mech section. And I'll get to those mech sections later, but this old one really has some fun stuff. He has some great mechanics with wide movesets, and somehow, some way, in a mech fight, he has some depth in his arsenal. It's an easy fight, but was just a pretty badass one. But now that I'm done with the positives, sadly not everything hits the mark in Doom the Dark Ages. A major issue with Doom the Dark Ages is that a lot of the weapons feel underwhelming in their base form, becoming viable only after acquiring their secondary modes outside of the combat shotgun and pulverizer. This makes early game combat a bit of a slog and discourages experimentation until you've unlocked everything. Additionally, the lack of glory kills, a staple of Doom Eternal, is sadly missing also. They brought flow, style, and a functional purpose to fights. Their absence makes encounters feel less fluid and more repetitive, and tagging along those awesome glory kills in Doom Eternal, it brought up upgrades and abilities to make glory kills hit further away, have a quicker animation, and even give you a speed boost and a AoE melee power hit that can stack to 2. You do not get all that with the new glory kills in Doom the Dark Ages, and it's sadly missed. And also, there are these mech and dragment segments or missions. On paper, they sound awesome, piloting a massive suit of armor or soaring through the skies on a dragon should be peak power fantasy in medieval and metal, but in reality, in this game, the mech levels feel clunky and unnecessary, more like a gimmick than a core mechanic. The dragon fares better mostly due to smoother controls and better pacing, but both segments ultimately feel like filler, padding out the runtime rather than enhancing it. I'm just thinking in my head that I just want my boots to the fucking ground to kill some fucking demons, man. But anyways, it's impossible not to compare this game to Doom Eternal, which still stands as the high watermark of the franchise. In Eternal, every weapon had a purpose, each suited to different enemies and situations. The suit upgrades felt meaningful, letting you tweak everything from health and armor to grenade cooldowns and mobility. Glory kills not only looked cool, but they gave you a speed boost, keeping the pace frantic and satisfying. The arsenal, runes, and environmental interactions all work together seamlessly. The Dark Ages, while competent, just doesn't reach those same heights. And on to more negatives, the parry is the best part, but also a bit tiring. Like Expedition 33, the review that many people disagreed with me with, but that's fine, it's my opinion. I got tired of parrying all day in both of these games. And both of these games have an overuse of parry because it's the main factor in winning a battle. It's the main core mechanic. It becomes tiring towards the end of both games. Very tiring, and you kind of just want this to end. And speaking of the negatives and bosses, let's talk about the Armored Titan. Let's talk a little about him because the mech sections suck and so does his enemy. I don't want to talk about him, fuck it. Alongside Creedmaker, I didn't fully hate him, but it was long and kind of boring. There's no cool strafing in this game to care about. It's Returnal like projectiles that you have to dodge with no dodge mechanic like Eternal has. There's no jumping, there's barely parries, it's a lot of downtime avoiding hits, and it's pretty boring. Doom the Dark Ages is a great entry in the franchise. It's awesome, bloody, and has some great enemy design and level layout with a new take on Doom gameplay, to its parry, to its melee, but its missteps. Lackluster story, underwhelming music, and inconsistent weapon balance and filler padded segments keep it from reaching the legendary status of Eternal. Still, with its imperfections, it is a great finale to the trilogy, and if you are a Doom fan, it's absolutely worth your time. Just don't expect it to dethrone the king.